Hello friends, it's Scott from Platte River Keto. If you're new to my channel, welcome. On my channel, you get to come along for the ride on my keto journey. It's been a fantastic week for me, so just want to check in with you guys and let you know how things have been going. And then also, I have a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share. So first, how things have been going this week as far as I'm not really going to say goals that I've set, but the processes that I put in place for myself. First would be to continue to not eat after dinner. I did that perfectly this week. Yay for me. And it has really helped me to get rid of the habit that I had of snacking. I've been eating 2 solid meals. Is kind of what usually works pretty well for me. That's what I've landed on many times over this 4-year keto journey, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I don't usually eat when I wake up. That's when I take my pre-workout, the True Endurance from Performance Gainz. That's really the only thing I have in the morning. I have that before I go work out, of course. And then I make sure that I get my electrolytes in after my workout, either a Relight from Redmond or Salty from Keto Chow. And then I have a scoop of creatine. Told you guys I've been taking that. And that's pretty much it until lunchtime. Lunchtime, I have a good meal, usually meat focused with possibility of some vegetables if we have leftovers. I'm not really a person who likes to make my lunch, and so if we have leftovers, then that's what I have. Whatever we had the night before, and if I don't have leftovers, then I have a keto chow. And then for dinner, obviously, Liz and I plan our meals once a week, and so we get a good keto meal in every day, and yeah, so that's been going really, really well. That's usually what I do. And like I said, getting rid of the eating after dinner has gotten rid of the extra snacking. And so I'm really just eating those 2 meals along with the couple of supplements that I'm taking that help me to feel better, improve my workout, etc., etc. So things have been going really, really well from a nutrition standpoint. I haven't had a lot of as you guys can tell, a lot of detailed focus on the nutrition, other than I know what meals are good keto meals, and I'm focusing on getting my meat and my protein, getting enough fat in my diet, and keeping the carbs low. And it's been working really, really well for me. I've been doing this now for a couple of weeks, and I'm feeling really great. From an exercise perspective, things are also going really well. I am back to rucking with my dogs in the morning. I think I have, let me see if I can do some math here. 10, 20, 33 pounds of weights in my backpack, and the backpack itself weighs almost 5 pounds. So it's close to 40 pounds that I'm rucking with. That's feeling pretty good. Also, I am doing my weight training program, the 30 days of dumbbells and body weight exercises. I just finished day 8. So that's been going really, really well. And I am doing the hip PT with my wife to help her get her hip better with DDPY. So not really a like strength training program with DDPY right now, but I'm doing that with Liz, and so her hip is making slow progress, and we're really happy about that. But so overall, things are going really, really well for me. If you guys follow along on my short videos, any of you who follow both of these things, I found that you either watch these long form updates or you watch my short videos. Not a lot of you do both, but that's okay. But if you've been following along, you know that I've been dealing with some plantar fasciitis in my right foot, and it's very, very frustrating. The only good thing as far as exercise goes is that it actually feels better once I get walking, as it kind of stretches out. And so it hasn't hindered me from doing my workouts. It has made me feel a little bit discouraged when I like get up in the morning or after I've been sitting in the office all day, because if I let it tighten up, it really hurts. And actually, it was the plantar fasciitis that I've been dealing with, and what I've been doing to try to help fix it, that got me thinking about what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I wrote some notes, so if you see me looking down, that's why. What I wanted to talk about today is focus on the process, and the progress will eventually come. And the initial reason that I thought about that is that for my plantar fasciitis, I actually bought, I forget what the name of it is, but it's a sock basically that holds your foot kind of, doesn't allow your toe to really point. It holds it up, and there's a band that hooks up to the sock up on your calf and kind of holds your foot like this, so that the plantar fascia doesn't have a chance to contract back in, because that's really where it hurts. And that's what had been happening to me overnight. I'd work really hard during the day and I'd be feeling okay. I'd have some pain and some aching, but then I'd go to sleep and it would just contract in the morning. I mean, it looked like I was 80 years old. I could barely walk. And then, of course, once I got it loosened up, it was okay. But so I've been using that at night, which is not the funnest thing to sleep with. But what got me saying to focus on the process and the progress will eventually come is that what I wanted was to put the sock on, have the very first night, have it feel completely better the next day. And unfortunately, that's not how most things work, and that's not how this has worked. I would say the first day it was 20% better. The next day it was maybe just a little bit better than that. The third day, a little bit better. Today it's actually feeling pretty good. But again, it's still there. The plantar fasciitis isn't gone. And I think so many times, not just with, the plantar fasciitis, but with our exercise, with our nutrition, we want our results and we want them now. And when we don't get them, we feel like we're not making the progress that we had hoped that we would be making. We want to throw it away and say it doesn't work. And, sometimes we'll even give it a couple of weeks, but we get focused on the progress instead of the process, and then we dump the processes before they've had a chance to work, where we might have actually seen some progress. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Focusing on the process, and so much so that the only goal that I'm going to set is that I am not going to get on a scale until at least September. And that sounds maybe a little bit crazy, but I focused so much on that number so many times that I am going to focus all summer on my process. And I know that I will see progress, but I feel like I'm focusing on the right things. As I mentioned to you guys in my video last week, there was a time where I was so focused on the progress that I would never have even thought of taking something like creatine, which is to help me with my muscle gains and also help me with recovery. And the reason I wouldn't have ever thought of doing that is because one of the things that creatine does is it pulls water into your muscles. And that could cause you to gain a couple of pounds. And I was so focused on the progress and wanting to see that number on the scale go down that I would have been like, oh, I don't know if I can do that right now because I don't want to see the number on the scale go up. And at the end of the day, I don't care what the number on the scale says. I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to live my life. Now, do I want to be able to do things that have some relation to my relationship with Earth's gravity? Yes, I want to be able to shop at a regular store. I want to be able to have my pick of different styles of clothing, which for any of those of you who have been really overweight, obese, like I have been, as you get to a certain size, your options get really limited. So one of the things that I do want to be able to do is to be able to shop wherever I want to shop. And my relationship with Earth's gravity will be less if I'm able to do that. But I don't care what the number says. I've never cared about the number. I was actually joking with my wife, Liz, this morning. There would be a way for me to lose a couple 100 pounds. Cut my legs off, both of them, and cut my arms off too. Then I would have the number that I want to see, possibly. But what kind of life would that be? And not that I'm saying people can't live a full and wonderful life if something has caused that to happen to them. But for me to simply choose that to reach the number sounds pretty insane, doesn't it? And yet that's what we do to a much lesser degree, but that's what we often do when we focus on the progress instead of focusing on the process. One other thing that I wanted to share with you, one other analogy, you know that I like those, is the thought of boiling water. And something similar to this might have been in the book Atomic Habits, but I was listening to a podcast this morning, and he was talking about not seeing progress right away. And one of the things that it talked about was the concept of boiling water. So you see really cold water, just out of the tap. You didn't even bother to get it hot. You want to boil some water. You get it out, you put it on the stove, it's totally cold, and you turn the burner on, right? Now, that water is going from whatever it was. Let's say it was really cold. Say it was 35, 36 degrees, just barely above freezing, and you want to get it to boiling. As that water goes up, if you look at that water, if you stare at it, what do you see? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. For a long time. From the time that where it started until it gets pretty close to the boiling point, you don't see anything. As it gets close to the boiling point, you start to see some little bubbles, right? But for a very, very long time, you see absolutely nothing. No outward progress at all. But is that water changing? No, not a scientist, so I'm sorry if that isn't exactly the way to describe it, but is the temperature of that water changing? Yes, but there is absolutely no outward progress. So the process of getting that water to boil for a long time shows no outward progress. And that happens to us so much, whether it be from a nutrition perspective, as we're eating, enjoying the keto lifestyle, but I'm not seeing the movement in on the scale, or I'm not seeing the clothing sizes drop. It's so easy if we're focused on that thing that we can see that we think, oh, we're not having any progress at all. And where you are, and a lot of those the progress that you're seeing is internal progress. Your body is there's recomposition that's going on. You're healing things that have maybe been plaguing you for a long time. Same thing's true from an exercise perspective. When you start lifting weights, or when you start walking or rucking like I've been, you don't immediately have great progress where you're like, oh, yesterday I was able to go 2 miles, today I'm able to go 3, or yesterday I was able to lift a 25-pound dumbbell, and today I can lift a 50-pound dumbbell. That doesn't usually happen. And the really interesting thing is that right before water boils and it gets those little bubbles on the bottom, there has been a lot of progress, right? Especially if in this analogy that we're sharing here, especially if you put that water in at like 35 degrees, just barely above freezing, there's been a lot of progress between 35 degrees and where water boils, right? You're very close. You're right at the edge, right at, is it 212 degrees where water boils Fahrenheit? Let's say you're at 210 degrees. So a huge change has happened in that water from 35 degrees up to 210, but all you're really getting is those little tiny bubbles. So you might have been working on improving your health for a long time, and you're just starting to get some of those little bubbles, but you're like, this isn't really progress. Come on. Nobody would say that water's boiling, right? Nobody would say you've made a ton of progress. Nobody would look at me, even though I've lost over 100 pounds for sure, and go, well, there's a healthy looking guy. No, because I started at 500 pounds and I'd like to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 pounds. So I have 300 pounds to lose. I have a whole large person that I want to lose. And so even though I've made a lot of progress, I might be to that little tiny bubbly stage. I'm not quite to the full boil yet, where suddenly somebody looks at me and just at a snap glance goes, oh, there's a healthy person. If I'm not to that point yet, gosh, it'd be really easy to, even at that point, want to throw my progress away and say, this process doesn't work. I'm here to tell you guys that the process does work. If you focus on eating healthy food and figure out what that means for you. Obviously, if you're watching my channel, I'd like to think that a keto lifestyle is what's interesting to you. But even if it's not, find something that works for you, that focuses on whole foods. For me, meat, low-carb vegetables, and trust the process. If you're focusing on exercise, trust the process. Go find a reputable place to get a workout program and trust the process. You may actually take what you might consider outwardly to be small steps backward, like I have with the fact that I've taken the creatine. I again, haven't stepped on the scale, not going to step on the scale, but there's a possibility that my relationship with Earth's gravity, even though I've had 2 fantastic weeks, might have gone up a little bit. But I don't care about that right now, because that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the process, and I know that as I focus on the process, I will see the progress. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And again, my solemn oath to you is that I am not going to get on a scale until at least my birthday, and my birthday's in September. So hope you guys have had a great week. I'm glad that I was able to check in with you today. Like I said, we're getting back in that habit too. So thankful for that. Thankful for all of you and following along, being a part of my keto journey day by day. Keep calming keto on. We'll talk to you guys again soon.